Hey, thank you for tuning in. My name is Sebastian, and I have a really insightful, simple message for you today, and it's about inflation. And this is something that we should know, that we need to learn about, because it's eroding the value, the purchasing power of our dollars, of our savings, of our hard-earned dollars. This is getting eroded. So I'm going to tell you how to use this in your favor, benefit from inflation, and build wealth with it. So what exactly is inflation? Inflation is the decline of purchasing power of a given currency over time. Anything that has too much supply of anything that there's too much of loses its value. So it's basically like a lever. Supply is here, demand is here. When there's too much supply, demand has to catch up with it. Once demand catches up with supply, then it has to be dropped. And in order for that to drop, then prices have to increase. Supply and demand always have to be at a balance. And that's where prices come into play, supply comes into play. But the principal idea here is that too much of anything loses value. Dollars is how our time and resources are captured. And when this is getting eroded, our time and resources is getting eroded as well. So put it this way, just lately this year, it's been reported a 6% and some change inflation rate. Now we have 261 working days in the year. 6% of this is 15.6 days. This means that we are working 15.6 days of the year just to pay for this 6% of inflation, because from our yearly earnings. You know, this is mind blowing, and we need to understand how this works and how we can favor from this. So now that we know what inflation is, I'm going to tell you why it's happening. Why is the government doing this? Why is this typical in currencies? On one side of the coin, it's the narrative, the goodwill for the masses, and it's basically what the news outlets tell us, that it's economic stimulus, quantitative easing. That's the message and that's the narrative. But we have to look deeper at the cause, deeper on why this pattern exists in currencies of all time. That's the other side of the coin. Ray Dalio puts it this way. Ray Dalio he's a hedge fund manager, very famous, known in the investing world, known for helping other economies, other countries when they have to solve very complicated economical issues. In his book Principles, he says that the goal of printing money is to reduce debt burdens. At this time, the USA is in massive debt, right? They have to raise the debt ceiling each and every time, and this is catching up with us. There is unfunded liabilities. There's social security, there's pensions, there's many unfunded liabilities that aren't even considered right now. So what is the government doing to tackle this? They are eroding debt. Therefore, it's easier to pay in the future with dollars that are worth less, because there's more supply of dollars. Therefore, the debt is easier to pay because debt is fixed. Debt is a fixed payment. But inflation makes everything rise, including incomes, including tax liabilities, including tax rates of people. Therefore, the government brings in more, and they should be able to service their debt more. That's if debt doesn't increase. That's where the problem is. The dollar is being eroded, and since debt is denominated in dollars, then the debt is being eroded as well. This is a really important concept for us to understand, because this is the power of inflation. It's either eroding your savings that are in dollars, or it's eroding your debt. It's doing both at the same time, but you choose which one you have at any given period. So I'm at the part of how can we make this work in our favor? How can we benefit from this? And it's very simple. We play the same game that it's going on. So what can we do? We need to create debt that makes income and pays for itself. Debt that also gets eroded and provides more cash flow. So this is basically good debt that pays for itself and has more cash flow, just like the government is doing. So this debt is either to finance a business venture that will pay for the debt. This debt is either to finance a car that you're going to put on Turo and the car will pay itself. This debt could be for real estate. I'm a real estate professional, and this is why real estate is one of the best hedges against inflation, because when you buy real estate, when you finance real estate, this debt is very low interest, of course, and the tenant, the renter, pays for this debt, and you get cash flow. This debt is fixed. As inflation goes up, as the money supply increases, the dollar erodes in value, debt also erodes in value, and rents rise with inflation. They always do, because prices rise with inflation. So when rent rises with inflation, your cash flow rises as well, but the debt stays fixed. The debt stays the same, and the monthly payment for that mortgage stays the same while rent goes up. So this is why it's important for us to find assets that we can finance in dollars. This way, as the dollar gets eroded, the debt gets eroded as well. And this is how we make the debt work in our favor, inflation work in our favor, and we accumulate more assets with higher cash flow, with more income. The idea here is for assets to produce more cash flow in our way, and this cash flow will buy you more assets. Unfortunately, those who don't have any debt and stay on a fixed income, inflation usually rises, and so should income, but they don't rise as fast and they don't rise on the same pace. Those that don't control assets will live the negative end of inflation. I hope this helps you. I hope this serves you better. I hope this gives you a better understanding of inflation. And I'm gonna have a lot more videos, more insightful. I also always leave an article about this subject. Feel free to go to the article if you wanna dive deeper into the knowledge, or if reading works better for you. Follow me, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in.